Many times you're caught on the wrong side of the law. Many times you are found needing a lawyer. Most importantly, many times you have to find a way of defending yourself in the courts of law or with police, or most importantly, you can tell your lawyer why you're innocent or what can be able to save you from court. In today's video, I'm here to discuss with you all the possible defenses that you can have concerning legal issues when you find yourself in trouble, when you found yourself killing someone, when you found yourself doing anything which is on the wrong side of the law. So in today's video, let's discuss legal defenses and how you can avoid being put into jail or rot in jail. So let's go. Simply Legal. Usually most people tell me that they find the law boring, but on this channel we simplify the law for you creatively. For those who are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And before I even start on the defenses, I've noticed that many times in my analytics, I've noticed that many of you watch my videos and yet you don't hit the subscribe button and notification bell. So before we do that, please smash the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you can always get the latest updates on Simply Legal and watch as we simplify the law for you creatively. So let's start right away. Number one of the defenses, or the best legal defenses, we have self-defense. Now, many of you, especially the women, you find yourselves in situations where a man has tried to rape you, a man has tried to force himself on you, or even as men, someone has attacked you from behind, or a colleague has attacked you during work, or you've got into any fight anywhere. So you do have the right to defend yourself. If you ever find that the person who is trying to inflict harm on you, assault you or batter you, has used a dangerous weapon like a knife and is trying to stab you, and you end up defending yourself and you get into a fight and kill that person, if you ever taken to court for murder of that person who was trying to kill you, you can explain all the facts you can to your lawyer and tell him that, you know what, indeed this person was trying to kill me and I had to defend myself. It was inevitable. I had to protect myself from inevitable injury or death. So that's the first defense that you can have in court. Before I even go further, it is your job to explain to your lawyer whatever all the facts of your case, because your lawyer is going to defend you in regards to whatever you tell him. So us lawyers are here to help you with whatever issue that you have. Now, if you do not tell your lawyer that you killed this person who was trying to kill you out of self-defense, then you're going to end up going to jail, and you could have explained that, you know what, I had to use a gun to shoot him. You can use evidence like the guy already, he was cutting me, he had stabbed me once, so I had no choice but to kill him. That's number one. Number two, let's look at a very unique defense, and that's the defense of alibi. Now, people who watch movies, you might have known what an alibi is. An alibi is basically where you were at a particular time, or what we call location. So I think I've tried to explain it in a very simplified way. Your location. So we've watched movies where different people have been brought in for questioning by the police or by the feds in developed countries, or by CIA, whatever it is, or police here in Uganda. Now, if they are doing a murder investigation, they're going to ask Terry, that Terry, the cameras caught you when you were on Kahuma Road and your car was parked next to the crime scene. Where were you at the time? Then it's my job as Terry to state that no, on the night of the 14th of May 2020, in fact it was during COVID, I left my car there because at the time my car was there. It just so happened the president had announced a lockdown, and that is why my car is next to the crime scene. But I can justify where I was on the 20th of May 2020. I went to a bar, I have the receipts. You can also bring in my friends for questioning. So therefore, I cannot be a suspect in this case. That is what an alibi is. So many of you may be hearing, what is your alibi on the night of 4th June 2022? Then you can say my alibi was, I was at Ifendi's bar. Ifendi doesn't exist anymore. It's just for us old timers. I was at Kush Lounge on May 2022, 22nd of that month. So that's what an alibi is. So basically, an alibi is your location. It's a way of defending yourself, stating that you are not part of this investigation, because yes, a piece of evidence was found which was used next to the crime scene, but you are not part of that crime. So I hope you've been able to understand. So the third defense is the defense of insanity. Now, I think many of us have been watching news and staying up to date with the current events. We recently had the death of former State Minister Angola. We also had the death of Ismail Laxus, and we also had the death of the recent guard who shot the Indian moneylender in town. Now, with these three events, many times the police have questioned, for the bodyguards or the policemen who have stayed alive, they have questioned whether these people are actually sane. Especially the recent shooting of the Indian moneylender. They went ahead and asked the policeman that, are you sorry for killing this Indian moneylender? And the man said no. He actually meant what he did. Now, when I went further to investigate, of course, during my research and investigation, I found that the police even went ahead to get a specialist, a psychiatric specialist, to find out whether this man was actually mentally sane. Now, this brings us back to the defense I'm talking about. Mental illness or insanity can actually be a defense. Funny enough, it has landed so many people throughout the history of human nature out of jail. Why? Because if a mad person kills you, if a mentally insane person kills me, Terry Kahuma, and the court finds that this man, at the time when he was killing me, it is found that he did not know what he was doing, or he knew what he was doing, but at that time he was not in his right senses, then they can actually, instead of locking him up in Lozira or in another facility, a correctional facility, they can actually put him in a psychiatric facility or a place where mad people are taken or mentally insane people are taken. So what is interesting is that if, let's say, Mr. Katera comes and kills me, and it is a well-known fact that Katera has episodes of bipolar, or he's mad, or he's insane, at the time when he was killing me, if they can prove through counselors, through psychologists, through psychiatrists, if they can prove that Katera was mad at the time when he was killing me, then he can actually go off. But of course, the law has to balance. The weighing scales of the law have to balance. So equity has to prevail. So meaning that he will not go away scotch-free, but he'll be locked up in a mental facility, because it will not be fair to put him in jail, yet he's mentally unstable. So, my fellow lawyers, I know you understand me very well that mental incapacitation can be a very good defense. So let's go to the final ones and we close off this video. So let's go to number 4, which is duress. Now, what is duress or coercion? Duress or coercion is basically force. Imagine a situation where I'm a very wealthy person in Kampala City or in New York or wherever it is, and then bodyguards come or let's say crooks come and put a gun on me as I'm leaving office and say, Mr. Kahuma, we have a contract here for you. We want you to sign this contract. If you don't sign $1 million to each of our accounts right now, then we're going to shoot you. Or a better situation is if I'm leaving office and they put my family on gunpoint, my wife and kids, and they tell them that if you do not sign $3 million onto my account, we know you have the money, then we're going to shoot your family, or we're going to cut off each of their limbs. So if I sign that contract and it's later enforceable in court, and the crooks say, no, we convinced Mr. Kahuma to sign $3 million our account. But then I can actually go to court and say, no, these people coerced me. And it will even be much better if there are cameras which can be able to see that these people actually put me on gunpoint. So duress or coercion is basically forcing someone to do what they don't want to do, and you're using violent methods or threats. You're either putting me on gunpoint, or you're going to stab me, or you're going to maybe rob my house, or you're going to throw me off a building if I don't do what you want, especially concerning money, because most people want to use force to be able to get money out of you. So duress and coercion is basically, it's mainly done during contract law, during illegal contracts or during anything illegal. To force or coerce someone is to get something out of them by force or against their will. Now, to the students of contract law and my fellow lawyers, I'm speaking out to you, understand this very well. It's because according to the Contracts Act of 2010 or any other contracts all over the world, contracts should be entered into by two willing parties. There's a buyer and a seller, or two people who are contracting for services or something. So coercion or duress takes out that free will from the other party, especially when you're using violence or threat. Now, let's also go to what's called intoxication. I think we all know what intoxication is, or just like you're Simply Legal, I would like to simplify it for you. Intoxication basically means you being drunk or you're not in your right senses. So if let's say a driver knocks me and he was driving under the influence of alcohol, fine. And according to the eyes of the law, he was not supposed to do that. He was not supposed to be driving under the influence of alcohol. However, he can be able to get off very easily because it's not that he intended to knock you. He was from a bar, he was having fun with his friends. So the law is quite funny. There's a gray area all around. If the judge of this case ever tries this case for a very long time, they can be able to look at this as manslaughter but not murder. Because when you look at the ingredients of murder, we have the intention to kill, we have mens rea, we have someone who put it in their mind to actually kill you or knock you. But now, when someone is driving under the influence of alcohol, they did not intend to knock you. They wanted to drive back from their bar, from Tinda up to Charlie Wajala. But in between that time, you could have been crossing the road with your kid or with your partner, and then they knock you guys. But you may not necessarily die. So even if you sue this man, let's say he's working for MTN, and then you end up suing MTN because he was acting on behalf of MTN, then his lawyer can plead the defense of intoxication. So meaning that at that time he knocked you, he didn't intend to knock you, he was not okay, he was not in his right senses. Now, in this video I'm talking about general defenses. Let's go to the final one, which I thought would be very important to the general public. We have what's called force majeure. A force majeure basically means an act of God. An act of God is something that could not have been avoided. Let me give you an example. So many people had contracts, people had businesses in between the beginning of mankind, or ever since human beings began trading and doing business. Now, many people had, let's say, contracts with government or with each other. MTN can have a contract with ATS or with Airtel. COVID-19 comes in. Now, an act of God in the law doesn't mean that it's God who brought it. God Almighty did not bring that. An act of God means that this was something that was not in any human control. It means that it's something that no one could have foreseen coming. That's why so many people could not sue anyone for breach of contract during COVID, because the president at the time said no one is supposed to move during COVID. Everyone is supposed to stay in their houses. You cannot drive your car. You cannot fly planes. So many people lost businesses. Airlines closed. And you cannot blame anyone because that was an act of God. Let me give another example. When you look at developed countries, especially the United States, like Florida, when you look at countries and states which are close to the sea, they normally have tornadoes or they have hurricanes which destroy massive houses, almost an entire state of Florida, or maybe any other state or country which is near the coast. It destroys people's homes and businesses. Now, who are you going to sue at the moment? You cannot sue God, definitely. You can't sue the hurricane. So why you can't sue the government, because it wasn't the government's fault. So therefore, the best thing in an act of God, the best defense, is for your government to come in and be able to maybe help you financially, give you microfinance loans, or be able to give grants. Basically, this defense is something that any lawyer can be able to plead, because sometimes things are out of certain circumstances. Now, maybe I've given so many extreme examples, but let's give an example like, let's say I have a company, a delivery company, and let's say I'm the owner of Jumia, and through Jumia, someone made an order in Mukono. I drove from our headquarters in Kololo up to Mukono, but along Boyogerere, there comes a huge mudstorm, meaning that there has been a huge mudslide because Boyogerere is a bit hilly. So houses come and they destroy the entire road, or a lot of soil and debris kills off the road. Now, there's a lot of diversion along Nambole Road. So meaning that I could not make the delivery in time, and therefore the company has lost money, the customer has not gotten their goods. That was an act of God, because what was I supposed to do? Was I supposed to get out of the car and walk to the client's home? Imagine if they're all the way in Jinja. So that is looked at as an act of God. If ever the customer is to sue Jumia, then my lawyer or the lawyer of the company, which is Jumia, can plead that that was an act of God, meaning it could not have been foreseen. So I wanted you to understand these general defenses in the law. This information is important for you, the general public, for you to know and understand, because if you ever find yourself on the wrong side of the law, and yet you know that you did not intend to do it, or you have a very strong defense, then you can say, my defense is either force majeure, which is an act of God, I was intoxicated, it was self-defense, that kind of thing. So, thank you everyone for listening to me. I remain yours truly, Terry Kahuma. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Most importantly, if you ever find yourself needing a defense lawyer, please feel free to download and use Fameron, our legal mobile app, which connects you to a lawyer at any time. Fameron gives you a lawyer any place, anywhere, at any time. So these lawyers can be able to plead your defense in court, just be able to hit them up, pay their consultation fee, and you can be able to engage them in the most and better way possible so that they can get you out of any situation. Until next time, I mean yours truly, bye.